All right, in the second part of the homework, we're going to use another method for multiplying a whole number by a decimal, and it's called the area model. If we look at the first example in A, the problem is 7 times 3 and 12 hundredths. So what they've done is they've taken the decimal and they put it in expanded form for the length of this rectangle. So in expanded form, we have 3 ones. You can see the 3 ones. You can see that there's 1/10. So there's 1/10. And then they have 2 hundredths. So 2 hundredths. So if you think about it, this number is a composite of 3 ones, 1/10, and 2 hundredths. And that's going to be along the length. And then the 7 groups is going to be the width, which is going to be here. So we're going to multiply it by 7. What we're basically going to be doing is we're going to be multiplying 7 times each of the different units. So here you can see we have a rectangle here. So the way we find the area of a rectangle is by multiplying the length times the width. So we're going to multiply 3 ones times 7. So that's why you see the equation here, 7 times 3 ones. So let's go ahead and just figure out what the answer to that is. 7 times 3 ones is 21 ones. Okay, and then in standard form, that would just be 21. And in the next one, it says 7 times 1/10, which is 7/10. And we'd write that in standard form below it, 7/10. If we look at the last one, it's 7 times 2 hundredths. So 7 times 2 hundredths is 14 hundredths.
Just go through them if you don't want to. Okay. Do you have anything for laundry? I'm going to do a laundry. You did, right? Okay, good.
Which you can see is written in standard form already for the example. And then you're just going to add these 3 together, these 3 partial products together. So you're going to add 21, make sure you line up their place values. So we have 4 hundredths, we have 8 tenths, 1 and 2 tens. So we have a product of 21 and 84 hundredths. All right, now let's do one from scratch. We're going to make a rectangle. And we have 3 digits, so we're going to partition it into 3 rectangles. And then we're going to write this number 4 and 25 hundredths, and it's in expanded form. So we can see that there are 4 ones, so we're going to write 4 ones. And there are 2 tenths, so we're going to write, see there's 2 tenths, so we're going to write 2 tenths. There is 5 hundredths, so we're going to write 5 hundredths. And these all add together to make this one, to make the one factor 4 and 25 hundredths. So that's going to be the length of this rectangle. And the width is going to be, what we're going to multiply it by is 6, so this is going to be the width, 1/6. And now we're going to take that 6 and we're basically going to multiply the 6 by each one of these different units. So we have 4 times 6 ones, which is 24 ones. We have 2 tenths times 6, which is 12 tenths. And you want to write that in standard form. So 12 tenths in standard form. Remember, you want to make sure that the 2 in 12 is going to be in the tenths place. So if I put my digits and 12 here, then I want to make sure that the 2 is in the tenths place. So it's 1 and 2 tenths. And then we're going to do 6 times 5 hundredths, which is 30 hundredths. Okay, so 30 hundredths. If I made sure that the 0 in 30 is in the hundredths place, then that's what it would be. Okay, and if I wanted to clean it up, I don't need that 0 on the end, so I could actually erase the 0. So 30 hundredths actually equals 3 tenths. So then what I want to do is I want to add these partial products all together. So I'm going to make sure when I add them that I'm going to line up all the place values. So this 4 is in the ones place, so I want to make sure that 1 and 2 tenths, that the 1 is under the 4. And the 3 is in the tenths place. I want to make sure that that's under the 2 tenths in the previous number. And now I can add. So I have 2 tenths plus 3 tenths is 5 tenths. I have 4 ones plus 1 1 is 5 ones. And I have 2 tens. So my product is going to be 25 and 5 tenths. So let's take a look at 3 copies of 4 and 65 hundredths. So 4 and 65 hundredths has 3 digits in it, so I'm going to make a rectangle partitioned into 3 rectangles, and I'm going to write 4 and 65 hundredths in the expanded form. It has 4 ones, it has 6 tenths, and it has 5 hundredths. And I'm multiplying all of these by 3. So I forgot in the last problem that we should be starting with our smallest place value first. So we're going to do that correctly this time. So first we're going to do 3 times 5 hundredths is going to be 15 hundredths. Which in standard form is 15 hundredths with the 5 in the hundredths place. Then we're going to do 3 times 6 tenths. 3 times 6 tenths is 18 tenths. Okay, which in standard form is going to be 18 with the 8 in the tenths place. So there's my 18, and the decimal has to be here if the 8's going to be in the tenths place. So 18 tenths equals 1 and 8 tenths. And then lastly, I have 3 times 4, which is 12 ones, which is simply 12 in standard form. Now I'm going to go ahead and add. So we have 12 plus 1 and 8 tenths. Notice my 1 in the ones place is under the 2, which is also in the ones place. And then I have 15 hundredths. So I have 5 hundredths, I have 9 tenths, and 3 ones, and 1 10. So my product is 13 and 95 hundredths. All right, last one. Now, in the last one, it looks like I have a lot of digits. I'm still going to make a rectangle with just 3 partitions. Because what I have here in expanded form is I have 2 10s for this one. So I have 2 10s. And then I'm going to go all the way to my next place value with a digit in it besides 0 is the hundredths place. So I have 7 hundredths. And then I'm also going to add on 5 thousandths. And I'm going to multiply all of these by 4. So let's go through that process. Again, start with the smallest place value. We're going to start with the 5 thousandths. So 4 times 5 thousandths is 20 thousandths, which in standard form, I got to make sure that that 0 in 20 is in the thousandths place. So if I put a decimal, there's a tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So the 0's got to be in the thousandths place. So the 2 goes there, 0, another 0 in the tenths place, and another 0 in the ones place. So that's what 20 thousandths looks like in standard form. You can clean it up and get rid of that 0 on the end. We don't need that. So 2 hundredths is the same thing as 20 thousandths. Then I'm going to do 4 times 7 hundredths, which is 28 hundredths. Make sure that the 8 and 28 is in the hundredths place, so that'll work. In standard form, 28 hundredths. And then I'm going to do 4 times 2 10s, which is 8 10s. And 8 10s is 80. Now you just want to be careful when you add these together that we make sure that we line up our place values always. So you can see we have 8 10s and then 0 1s. 28 hundredths doesn't have any ones, so that 0 is going to be there. We have 28, and then we have 0.02 for our last one. And now I go ahead and add them up. So I have 8 hundredths plus 2 hundredths is 10 hundredths. Carry the 1, and I have 3 tenths. I have no ones, and I have 8 tens. Okay, so my product is 80, and if I clean this up, I can get rid of that 0 on the end. It's 80 and 3 tenths. And that's how you show the multiplication with the area, using the area model of one digit, of one whole number by a decimal.